Hello and welcome to the show. Let me start by saying that I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. With that, this video is going to be about metamaterials and metamaterials Torchlight preferred shares, stock symbols MMAT and MMTLP. So it is April 18th, Monday, and the title of this video is We've Had a Lot of Boredom, followed by Massive Downside Volatility. And hopefully this video will help explain some of that. So this morning, we got a tweet from John Brda. John Brda is the former CEO of Torchlight Energy, and he still speaks about relevant items along the way via tweets. Anyway, so John Brda made a tweet this morning. He said, FYI, rumor has it that a short and distort attack on MMTLP and MMAT is about to take place. I have not confirmed, but recent price action leads to think that the info I'm getting is correct. They don't want people to make money on the spin-out and then plow that back into MMAT. This was followed up by another tweet that says, look for BS on Reddit, StockTwits, Twitter, Benzinga, Seeking Alpha. Everything, all is being coordinated. Some of the people I'm hearing are Susquehanna, State Street, Citadel, Citron, BlackRock. They want to scare you out of your stock. Again, I have not confirmed, but I've been told. So thank you, John Brda, for those tweets. Very much appreciated. He's got 198 likes on this one and 244 likes on the previous one. So he got the word out. Great. Thank you very much. He's getting, and there's also some good responses, right? C Plant made a response. The trend is your friend. He said, now might be a good time to release the Kraken. Even I responded, right? I said, making money from MMTLP and plowing it back into MMAT, that would be a nightmare for short hedge funds. And I also responded that, they would have to coordinate across multiple platforms if they want to create chaos and so panic. Know what you hold. So there we go. I also put if you subscribe to my video channels on YouTube, there's a community section, and I normally put out some info on the community section when I don't have time to make a video. And this morning, obviously, I did not have time to make a video, but I did manage to put out some info on the community channel, on the community section. This is where I will typically write things that need to be said, that might be timely in manner. So, I copied and pasted John Brda's tweets, made the attribution, of course, and said that, here's the links on Twitter that you can actually check them out. But, yeah. So that's the place to go to look for quick info from me. Again, don't expect quick info from me because I typically won't have the time to send out a quick message. For that, I would recommend YouTube channels like Terry Younker's, and Bird Lady Rollerpigeons, of course, and also Uncle Smokey. They're all really good with MMAT and MMTLP. So, what happened to MMTLP stock today? It dropped like a brick. Massive downside. It dropped even lower than 86 cents a share on large volumes. Looks pretty intense. Why would people sell on large volumes? So it was obviously downwards, and the volumes were big. And the price action is significant because typically MMTLP has been going sideways for a long period of time. It did drop downwards when Fidelity stopped allowing people to buy on MMTLP, but in general, it's been trending sideways. And today, it trended downwards significantly. It did recover, though. If we look at the long-term history, we can see that it has not actually dropped below $1 for most of the time it's actually been out there. So today's downward move is a significant downward move, right? It usually gets support around this level. So today is a significant downward move. Now, on the very first days that it came out, MMTLP was, it came out at 10 cents, got as high as 70 cents, and then got as high as 90 cents, and then $1 or so, right? And then it went as high as $3.50. Again, this is MMTLP. Pure speculation. There's no known dividend, although everyone expects there to be a dividend because it's based on the sale of oil and gas assets, right? So, again, at the time it first came out, pure speculation drove it up to over $3.50. And ever since then, it's been going sideways for the most part, with a slight downward pressure ever since March. Okay. So overall, MMTLP today is down. But let's not forget, right? It's down, and it was attacked on a day when you can't buy MMTLP on Fidelity. You can still sell, but you can't buy. So for me, that actually makes MMTLP much more valuable, because if I sell any MMTLP shares I have, I may not be able to buy it back, at least not on Fidelity, or to be honest, I believe I can buy it back on Fidelity. I would have to call them according to representatives, and I can arrange a buy order via phone. But for me, I really like the web interface. I really like being able to buy on the web. It's much more convenient. I know that I can get a confirmation of what exactly my order is and all that. It's really convenient for me, rather than have to speak it on the phone and have it repeated back to me and all that, right? In any case, let's look at oil prices, because MMTLP is based upon the sale of oil lands. If we look at oil prices, oil and natural gas are up significantly in the last 5 days, right? The price of oil and natural gas went above $108 per barrel today, ending the day at the time I'm making this video about $107 or so. But overall, headed upwards, right? Oil has been headed upwards. Look at natural gas. This is the natural gas fund, and this particular natural gas, United States Natural Gas Fund, LP. This has been headed upwards, as we can see, right? It's been trending upwards. This is in the last 5 days, of course. So it's been trending upwards. And as a result, MMTLP has been going down. That's hard to... That doesn't quite jive, does it? Right? Now let's look at MMAT. Okay, MMAT is a very different play in terms of investment vehicle than MMAT, right? Although MMTLP comes from the company MMAT, Metamaterials Torchlight Preferred Shares comes from Metamaterials. It's because Metamaterials has these oil and gas lands and assets that they're going to sell off. Metamaterials itself is their next generation technologies, okay? They should have nothing to do with oil and gas. And yet Metamaterials is down today, all right? It's down to $1.42 or so, okay? Why is that? I mean, $1.43, $1.42, around that price point. So MMAT is down. And if we look at it in the long-term trend, in terms of the long term, it's as low as it's been in the last year or so. I mean, it's actually very, very low. It's close to the 52-week low. So the trend has been down. But compared to a year ago, we have much more money in the bank, right? Metamaterials has expanded the business. They've bought nanotech securities. Their revenue streams are up. They're actually in much, much better shape now than they were a year ago, right? So they're in pretty good shape. And yet they're down compared to a year ago in price. So that doesn't make sense, right? It's good, right? It's something to keep in mind. So with that said, I was going to talk about my rules. If you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you'll know that I have a set of rules that I use for my own sanity. And we're going to see how those rules apply here. I put a little I put a little emoticon there, which is pretty cool. Okay, these are my rules. I got 12 of them right now that I'm disclosing. It's on days like this that I think rules 1, 2, 3, 4, and 11 come into play, okay? Rule 1, never invest more than you can afford to lose, right? Rule 2, know your investment, or better yet, know why you invest, okay? Rule 3, know your risks, and suppose you're wrong. Rule 4, Understand your upside and downside potential, reasonable targets and time frames, etc. Right? Rule 11. Keep a little cash on the side because you never know when you'll get some amazing opportunities. Okay? Rule 1, 2, 3, 4, and 11. Let's look at rule 1. Okay? Never invest more than you can afford to lose, right? So what that says to me is never use margin. Don't borrow more than you have. On a day like today, if you were on margin, you would probably have gotten margin called and been forced to sell, which means you would probably sell at a loss. You haven't really lost any money until you're forced to sell. Okay, never short. That doesn't really apply here, but because for me, metamaterials and metamaterials torchlight preferred shares are long plays only, right? I mean, if you're a short on these plays, you're insane. Okay. The third part of rule 1 is you need to be comfortable enough with whatever position you have that you can go to sleep at night, right? Because you're not going to be able to make any rational decisions with little to no sleep. And that's the basics of rule number 1. What does this really mean in this particular application? We don't care about the never short, right? Because again, like I said, you'd have to be insane to short. But I mean, that's just my belief. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Okay. So I'm comfortable in my position. I never had a plan to sell MMTLP. I plan to take the dividend. And that means I have no problem holding for as long as it takes. Rule 1 comes into play and means I can hold on and I can be irrational longer than the shorts can deal with whatever crap they're going to deal with. Rule 2, know my investment, right? Know your investment. Understand why you invested. Okay, this is really important. And what this says to me in terms of this particular play is, with MMTLP, we got 3.2 billion to 3.7 billion barrels of oil in the ground. I never plan to sell. I plan to take the dividend. So the fact that the price went down has no meaning to me whatsoever. Oil is also up. Like I said, it's over $100 per barrel and headed upwards. Okay. There's no reason for this to be down unless there's no oil or unless you can't get access to that oil. We know that's not the case. So MMAT, right? The other part is this is a twofold investment for me, right? I believe that there's not enough shares of MMAT if MMTLP shareholders decide to reinvest back into MMAT, of course, right? So if there's not enough shares, that means MMAT will skyrocket in price. So I don't really care what the price is right now. It just means I can buy more when the dividend comes out. That's my take on it. Again, not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Know your risks, right? Every investment has risks. You should know what they are. What are the risks that I see here? For MMAT and MMTLP, I think management is doing a decent job with things that they have control over, right? They're doing a decent job with expenses. Could they be doing a better job with communications to MMTLP shareholders? Yes, they could. Are they doing it? No, but I can't really fault them too much on that. In terms of controlling their expenses and in terms of research and development, which is what MMAT is supposed to do, developing new technologies and licensing them, they're probably doing okay with that, right? I mean, they have a lot of partners and all that, so I can't really fault them with that. The oil price, in terms of things that they cannot control, the oil price seems pretty strong. It's headed upwards, right? Management has no control over the oil price, but hey, when the wind's blowing your way, Okay. On top of this, things that they have no control over are the pandemic. And quite frankly, the pandemic has caused people to stay at home. It's increased the demand for electronics and technology, because when you're at home and your computer is 10 years old or 5 years old and you're trying to use high-speed internet, you're going to want a new computer. You're going to want new electronics. You're going to want new gadgets. You're going to want new technology. You're not going to want to be, comfortable with that 5-year-old technology that you got. And I suppose I'm wrong, right? That's the part of knowing my risk. Suppose I'm wrong about MMTLP and MMAT. Personally, I think the worst case is I just have to wait a little bit longer, right? Because MMAT is working on new technologies that's going to revolutionize and change the world, right? It's going to make the world much, much more... it's going to improve the world so much that it's just a question of time. That's all. Not only that, in terms of knowing my risks, I also have other plays in the works, which help to balance out my risks, right? I've got Canberra Energy, and in case you haven't noticed, Canberra Energy has done exceedingly well today. I also have GME, GameStop. GameStop announced a split via dividend, and that is a phenomenal play that could increase the price of GameStop significantly. So, I have other investments, and that helps to balance out my risk. So, there we go. Rule 4. Understand the upside and downside potential, right? Know what's reasonable, what would be required for unlikely events to happen, right? What does this mean to me? Okay, what's the upside? 3.2 billion barrels of oil. Maybe 3.7. Let's just say it's 3.2. 3.2 billion barrels of oil in the ground when oil is at $100+ per barrel and headed upwards. Okay. So, reasonable to me seems a reasonable price for MMTLP is a lot more than whatever the current price is. Right? A reasonable amount for the dividend is a lot more than what the current, what the current price of MMTLP is. What about MMAT, right? The MMAT, the potential there is that there's not enough shares when MMTLP shareholders reinvest back into MMAT. Okay? What does that mean? That means a possible short squeeze when billions of dollars flow into MMAT. And if that happens, a reasonable expectation for MMAT is a lot higher price than what the current price is. A lot higher. Okay? The downside? Well, these prices are pretty low right now. I don't see that the prices could head that much lower. And if they do, it's a huge bargain. But the downside risk is not as, for me, the downside risk is not as large as the upside potential. The upside, I call that asymmetric risk, right? Upside potential is significantly greater than the downside risk. Rule 11, keep a little cash on the side because you never know when you come across a really good deal. Okay, so that leads to the question, right? Am I going to invest a lot more? Did I invest a lot more? Well, I don't know. The questions that come to my mind is a short attack over, right? So probably not, right? This is just the first day. So if the short attack's not over, can they push it lower? I think they could, possibly. They have a lot of money. And if they can get people to sell, they stand to lose a lot more money if they cannot get people to sell, right? So they will, if you think about it, right? Let's say the dividend is lowball estimate. Let's say it's $25 to $50 a share of MMTLP. Lowball side, right? Let's say it's even 20. MMTLP is going for $1 today. Basically $1.10, $1 or so, right? Their risk is that they'll have to pay out a dividend of $20 per share. Do you think they'll spend whatever they can to try to push the price lower? I mean, if I had that risk, if I had that liability, I'd be spending money like crazy trying to push the price lower. I don't care. You stand to lose 20x the money that you put in because you shorted. So, that's where they're at right now. And let's not forget, if you want fast and timely updates, don't watch my channel. Watch these guys. Terry Younker's, Uncle Smokey, and Rollerpigeons, right? They are much quicker than I am. I just made a video out to keep you guys updated, but these are the guys to watch. Okay, just want to let you know. And that's it for me for MMAT and MMTLP. Let me end by saying that I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. So, goodbye.